to read a short story for you, if I may. It's called The Tea Garden. The nerve medicine which the kind doctor had prescribed for her was taking effect, and Wanda fell into a much-needed sleep. Sleeping and dreaming were privileges seemingly reserved for the very young, or perhaps the very good. At 94 years of age, Wanda Winter was neither. Everyone she held dear to her ancient heart had passed on. Fate had somehow arranged for her to outlive even her precious grandchild. Wanda was now alone in the world. Her mind meandered down the well-trodden path of the distant past. She was once again a beautiful young golden-haired lady stepping out at her first grand ball. The bashful debutante wore a shimmering sky-blue dress. She moved gracefully, slowly. Such a gown enabled only slow and graceful movements. There were hundreds of white roses and dozens of admiring pink-faced boys. They offered Wanda refreshments, a dance, their hearts. A nurse was shaking her awake and saying her name. Over and over the nurse cried, "Miss Winter, Miss Winter, wake up, Miss Winter, wake up." Wanda refused to awaken. She returned to her happy dream. Wanda's old beau, Jonathan Staton, held her in his arms. She floated across the dance floor, wildly in love. "Miss Winter." The relentless voice bore its way through to her conscious mind at last. Reluctantly, the old woman slowly opened her eyes. "Do you know where you are?" Always the same stupid question. "Yes, I know where I am," retorted Wanda. "I'm back here in hell with you." The nurse did not respond, either because she had not heard nor understood, or because she did not care. She came over with an evil-looking needle, poised for stabbing. "No more damn needles," cried poor Wanda, who had hated needles all her long life. "There, dear," murmured the nurse. "I understand," giving the injection just the same. "I don't want to go on living. There's nothing for me here, nothing." Wanda was certain that she had shouted out these words, but nobody told her to keep quiet. She sighed. What was the use? The golden haze she frequently thought that she saw behind her eyelids was more vivid today. Real or imaginary, it brightened the dreary hospital room. Wanda sank back on the hospital regulation hard pillow. She glanced casually at the bed next to her own. She stared, half in sympathy, half in disgust, at the apparatus hooked up to this old soul's body to maintain its existence. The whole scene depressed Wanda severely. "My will is gone, my spirit is gone, my mind is going. Why can't I be left alone to die in peace with some dignity?" brooded Wanda. Miss Winter saw a strange person into the room and stand expectantly at her bedside. The girl was oddly familiar, but Wanda could not place her. The old lady smiled at the visitor. A smile could suffice for a greeting. The pretty young stranger gently patted Wanda's cold hand. "Good morning, Miss Winter," said the woman. "I really hate to bother you, but would you autograph one of the fairy kind for my little boy?" Then the old woman remembered all of a sudden that she had once been a world-famous children's writer. Her spirits were lifted considerably by the visitor's request. Wanda signed, "To Timmy with best wishes." Wanda Winter wondered why the woman looked so familiar. Had they met before, when the woman was a child, perhaps? Wanda found this last musing to be a strange thought, but it was just so damn difficult to keep track of time anymore. Memories were more vivid here in the wretched hospital than they had at any other time in her life. The past, which Wanda readily entered at will, was infinitely more pleasant than her present state of affairs. She withdrew once more into the phantom arms of her beloved Jonathan. A tiny bald child with tremendous brown eyes stood beside her bed. Wanda judged him to be 4 or 5 years old. He held a book in his hand, and the book seemed far too heavy a load for his spindling little arms. The smile on his pallid face was huge and sunny. Wanda grinned back at the little boy, not entirely certain if she was awake or dreaming. She was reaching for her shawl when his mother came into the room. "Good morning, Miss Winter," said the woman. "I'm Abby. We met yesterday. You were kind enough to autograph Timmy's book. It's such a beautiful day. I wondered if you would like to have lunch with my son and I." "There's a beautiful garden here, you know," the little boy said. "It's magic, really it is. Mommy has bring some lunch for me, and I want you to share it with us." But Wanda could not refuse such a gracious invitation. The chubby nurse brought in a wheelchair, and the little boy and his mother wheeled Wanda out of the room. They got into the wide elevator and rode up to the 12th floor. Large glass doors led outside to a remarkable and beautiful roof Eden. White wicker furniture and a multitude of plants of all descriptions decorated the gigantic balcony. There were over 100 tall trees, from pines to willows to palm trees. Flowers in all colors of the rainbow covered the ground or hung in baskets around the picnic tables. Wanda thought she'd never seen a more beautiful garden rooftop in any place. People brought their own food and sat in small, intimate groups under a white and blue sun umbrella. The trio ate their delicious meal of green salad, cold lemonade, hot tea, and maple scones. Wanda enjoyed their company immensely, but she felt so very cold in the brink of summer on a rooftop, everybody else barely dressed at all and moaning about the heat. How Wanda envied them. She was shivering cold, even with the feather quilt wrapped about her bony person. Her gnarled hands shook as she brought the teacup to her wrinkled lips. Abby noticed this and made a decision. It's time to take Miss Winter back to her room. "Ah," protested Timmy, who seemed content to just sit and stare at Wanda. She was the magic lady who had created his favorite stories. He did not want her to leave so soon. "See how tired she looks," said Abby quietly. "She always looks tired, Mom. She's not tired, she's just old." The old woman whooped with laughter, but this erupted into an alarming coughing fit, and 3 nurses swooped down to the rescue of Wanda Winter. The next thing that Wanda knew, she was awake in her hard hospital bed. The earlier events were distant and dreamlike. The woman to the right of her was snoring loudly, but no one seemed to hear or notice. The old woman turned, went back to sleep for a long time. She dreamed as usual about her darling, Jonathan. She awoke with a ferocious appetite and rang for a nurse. 20 minutes later, Wanda was sitting up, eating a huge breakfast. Her head was clear and Wanda felt better than she had in years. "Can you send a message for me to a patient in this hospital?" Wanda asked the first nurse she saw. "Certainly," said the nurse. "What's the name, and do you know the floor that they are on?" "The name is Willett, Timmy Willett. He's a little boy, a patient on the 14th floor," said Wanda. "But Miss Winter," said the nurse, "we don't have 14 floors in the hospital." "Oh, never mind, dear, I'll look for your little friend. Oh, now take your medicine. I'll be in to check with you later." The nurse did attempt to find a Timmy Willett, but there was no such person registered in the hospital. She told this to Wanda the next day. "But I ate lunch with them," cried Wanda, totally bewildered. "The child had been seriously ill, suffering from cancer. He could not have been released so soon. We had lunch on that beautiful rooftop terrace just off the 12th floor." "Miss Winter, there are exactly 10 floors in this hospital." "Are you sure?" demanded Wanda. "Yes, Miss Winter, and we have no outdoor rooftop gardens. It's a lovely idea. Maybe it's from one of your children's stories. Well, sorry that I could not help you. Got to go. Take care, Miss Winter." That night, Wanda dreamed that Jonathan came to visit her in the hospital. The woman, Abby, and the little bald boy, Timmy, were with him. Their arms were full of presents and candy and flowers. Wanda embraced them rapturously, overflowing with love. This was to be her last experience on Earth. Wanda did not awaken the next morning. Thank you very much. And now, Mr. Reese, McBeth.